And as you can see, this is how the Illustrator file looks like. We're going to have one outline, details, artwork. Okay, let me explain this a little bit. So the first thing that we have is outlines. So the outlines are given thanks to the 3D file. Okay, so this is a off-the-shelf template, meaning that it's a visual representation. Our 3D modelers basically just visually create a shirt, and when they export that 3D model, we're given some UV map, which is this one, with the flat design of how that 3D model looks like, and that's when we create with the artwork, we create a flat base. Okay. Now, in this Illustrator file, I actually have all the designs that you guys actually have on your deal, okay? Because that's the idea. You can actually have multiple designs in your Illustrator file, okay? So we're going to be working with this one. And now, that's all inside our work. We're going to have a detail as well, which a detail basically doesn't matter on which design you are. Let's going to say it's a common part. As you can see, there is always round is always going to be there. It's not moving. Okay, it's a common part even when I have all that one that's not on top of the color. So it's something that is the same on all my designs. Okay, we're going to apply that concept into Kit Builder. Now, the idea of today is to cover a little bit of the Illustrator and the exporting process. Okay. The first one is how to create a design. We have like the basis in here. Okay. And basically, what I'm going to do is just to drag that one on the bottom, so that way I can copy, and that's when I'm actually going to start working my first design. I'm going to call this one plain design. Okay. And I'm just going to keep it that way. I'm just going to wrap everything in just one. It's going to be one color, okay, and it's going to be blue, white now. The only thing is like we're going to start seeing what I call the golden rules, okay, golden rules. This concept you're not going to find it on the on the guides, okay. This is just a me how to call I call these ones has a little bit of instructions to be like really, because they're really important. Okay, so the number one is just like everything have to be compound path. Everything have to be in compound path. A compound path basically is Control A. Okay, or that's how you create it. Okay, so let me open first of all a new layer, and it's going to actually put this one, call it golden rules. It's going to put these ones inside. Okay. Every time that you create something in Illustrator, you can see in here, it doesn't matter what I do, it's actually trying to interpret what you are actually creating. So you're going to have polygons, you're going to have ellipse, you're going to have path, etc. Right? So first golden rule, everything have to be compound path. So if you select something and you press Ctrl 8, you can see it's making compound path. Okay. You can group things together, so I can actually take my elements and group them together into a single compound path, and they will change color at the same time. And that's the idea of how I'm going to be treating my designs. I'm going to actually grab them, and if they change color, then I'm going to actually like group them together. If not, I'm going to keep it separate. Okay, so if you are unsure if they are going to change color at the same time, keep it separate just in case. If you are 100% these ones are going to change color at the same time in this design, because remember I'm working on the plain design, you can actually group them together. I haven't actually put this one in compound path, don't worry, I will do it, but for now let's going to see this second golden rule, which is like every compound path needs to be renamed. Oh,
Yes.
needs to be renamed. There you go. Why? Kit Builder works with IDs. Okay, so it's going to read the compound path that you have. Okay, and it's going to read right now. Despite these ones are saying compound path, technically on the SVG code it doesn't have one ID. Not, but not only that. That's the first option. That's the first issue, and the second issue is like they're actually called the same. So the idea is like the same way that Kit Builder needs a name to be able to actually add customization to that part. Also, it will work for us to know. Okay, so this one is my design element one, for example. Okay, and this one is going to be, for example, our design element two. Okay, I can work that way. Okay, as you can see, on our coming back to our design, we actually um, call it, for example, base, arms, hem, so that way we can actually know what feature we're changing. But sometimes we also work like this. For example, this one is going to be the design one, or this one is going to be, for example, a color one. You're more than welcome to work like that. Okay, I mean, like, you can actually call. The idea is on the renaming is that you call it in a way that you know what you are selecting. Okay, so if I actually call to this ellipse and I actually call it circle, I know exactly in Kit Builder, because in Kit Builder you are just going to have the layers. So if I actually just see the layers, if I click circle, I know exactly what I'm selecting. Okay. Now, as you can see, I renamed this one and I didn't make it a compound path. That's a common mistake that we find. So if you see one element, if you press Control 8, nothing happens. Okay. But if you go to a certain element and I actually go Control 8 and it changes to a compound path, that means it wasn't a compound path before. Okay.
Okay.
That is why I didn't rename the ellipse, to show you first make things compound path and then rename. Otherwise, if everything is actually like if everything is renamed, like you can see here in the layers, there's no way to know which one is a compound path, or which one it is and which one it isn't. Okay. Obviously, I know this one, and I know if I press Control 8 on the circle, I know that. But if I actually press Control 8 on the other one, nothing happened. Okay. Now, applying that concept, if I want to change things at the color at the same time, I can actually make them a compound path. So I'm going to actually click compound path. Okay. And I can call this one, for example, this one is going to be my shortcuts. Okay. I'm more than welcome to work like that. We're going to be uploading this design, okay? Don't focus on the other ones. Let's going to create a new one. Okay, so once again, I copy my master. I'm going to call this one, for example, stripes. Okay. What I'm going to do now is going to work a little bit different. For example, I'm going to add customization to my arms and base. Okay, I want to say, hey, you know what? Once again, this is my personal thing. Like the design that I'm working, I'm going to say, hey, these two are going to change color at the same time. Okay. Once again, let's going to pick one color, and the hem and the cuffs, I want them to actually match to each other. I'm going to group them together. Okay. And I'm going to call this one. You see, you can call this one cuffs and hem if you want. Okay. I'm actually going to go with color one, and then that's when you start applying to I'm making a design. So this design that I'm going to create, for example, is going to be something like similar to this one. So I'm going to create one square in here, one square in here, and one square in here. As you can see right now, they are all rectangles. We're going to make them into a compound path in a moment. Now, the first thing that I want to explain about the outlines is that, as you can, or to create a design, it's like you are going to have one outline, and it doesn't matter if it goes outside. Actually, that's good because that's like a bleeding area. Okay, but everything is not. So even if I do this, for example, okay, even if I do that, I'm more than welcome to leave it like that. And the reason why is like because everything outside of your outlines are not going to be shown. This is another reason why the outlines are locked. Okay, if for some reason you got you have your outlines and you actually move them around, okay, just keep in mind you are not changing actually the 3D model. So when you may think like, let's going to come here, let's going to apply it, let's going to make this one, and let's going to align this one here. Okay, if for some reason you want to do that, sometimes had clients who did it. Just keep in mind that you are not changing, you are not basically changing the 3D model. So the 3D model is still going to read the 3D model is here. So as you can see, everything outside the outlines, which is this one, this is the real ones, everything outside is not going to be displayed. It doesn't matter if you move the outlines. Okay, that is why we keep it locked, because it doesn't matter. The 3D model was already exported, and it have some x and y value which match this one. Okay, so that's the first thing. So everything outside the outline, no, absolutely no problem. Okay, so as you can see now, let's going to go back to my design, really basic one, because once again, the idea is just to show you how to export the design that you are going to create. So we have all these three rectangles. I'm going to make sure that, yeah, they're kind of like reach the hem. What I'm going to do is to make them compound path, and I'm going to rename this one color 2 to add customization to them. Okay, with all that, basically we just saw that, okay, how a little bit the layering system works. We saw a little bit of like things, golden rules, that things needs to be in a compound path and needs to be renamed. As you can see, after you follow all that criteria, basically what we're going to do is to export the SVG file. Okay, so I'm going to, because this one is I already copied this Illustrator file from somewhere else, so I'm going to actually delete all these ones. Okay, I just wanted to show you that you can have multiple designs in just one Illustrator file. Okay, that is why they were there. For the training purposes, we're just not going to keep them. We're just going to keep my master and the designs that I'm going to add. Okay. Now, exporting the SVG. How we do that? I'm going to save first of all, and the first thing I'm going to do is to make sure that everything is being visual. For example, my master, as you can see, is not actually being shown. Ooh, careful with that. I forgot to put this one back into their place. There we go. That's going to be fine. We have a bleeding area. There we go. Now, what I was saying is like my master are going to actually keep it hidden. Now, that means on the SVG and for Kit Builder, it's not going to be shown either. Okay, so make sure you are actually displaying everything that you want to actually display on your SVG on the Kit Builder side. Okay, so that's the first thing. And the second thing is save a copy. Don't save as. When you save as, it will actually start working in Illustrator, and it will turn this Illustrator into an SVG. That's one issue. Why? Let's go to save a copy. When you save a copy, you will see that it's saying, hey, this is a Illustrator copy, but we're going to say, hey, you're not an Illustrator, you're actually an SVG, and because there is no other SVG, we'll just keep it like that. Now, it is an issue because the SVG have a different values than the Illustrator files, and these are the values that we need. It needs to be 1.1 or 1.0, but never use the tiny ones. The tiny ones are just a compression of the SVG files. We're going to be working with presentation attributes. Sometimes this is on style attributes by default. Decimal places by default is 1, but it needs to be 3. And the only option in here, it needs to be use text path. Sometimes you're not going to see all these options and you're going to say, hey, where are they? You just need to click more options and you're going to see them. Now, I know this one all these SVGs values, it might be a little bit hard to remember on the first place, but I will show you on Kit Builder where you can actually find this, okay? So that way there's no need to make a note or take a screenshot of that. I will show you where you can actually find it on Kit Builder. Make sure your SVG exported values are right, and we click on save. And as you will see now, I have my 3D model, my Illustrator file, and the SVG. The reason why you don't want to save as is because when you actually open the SVG, see what happened. Everything is just one single layer. And when you try to select something inside it, let's going to say that I just want to select these bars over here, everything is selected, as you can see. So don't, when we actually save a copy, that's fine, we need the SVG, fine, but obviously I'm not changing the Illustrator file into a SVG. As you can see here, I'm actually able to actually select things individually, and that's exactly what I want to keep. Okay, let's going to save this Illustrator file, and that way we're already finished working in Illustrator.